And that's one of the most remarkable things to me about being here in the library and seeing people coming in. It's like, not working very well. Seeing people come in and just, very lightweight representation that's happened here in the library. There's information about median household income, demographic information about different ages in our community, and also our population and membership here at the library. And again, some more demographic information about our community. You can see that Mandarin and Cantonese are very well represented in our community, as well as Spanish. And then there's many, many different elementary schools down here. And I would emphasize that, and I think that our branch has a very special and strong relationship with the Moreland School District. And I've got a lot of the elementary schools in our community. They do outreach, and I know a lot of the administration personally, and they've been one of the most supportive school districts I've worked with, and I've been in different branches, SGPL, and it's been a real enjoyable experience for me to work with them. Okay, some more information about our branch. You can see our gate count, circulation, our number of programs, which is really high, and also our attendance and the number of computer sessions. And then over here, this gives you an idea of our circulation. As you can see, children's materials are the predominant genre of material that circulates here in the branch, but then there's also a strong adult and language materials as well. And then here's some information about our programs. So the first item there is digital literacy. We have a tech mentor here who's here every week and helps people with computer problems. There's also the robot petting zoo and robots and planetary exploration. Last summer, there was a grant, and West Valley received that grant, which allowed us to buy these really amazing robotics kits. And one of the things I think is great about them is like a lot of robotics programs use like Lego Mindstorm robots, and they're already created robots. But what we did was have these kits which had all the components, and the kids got to construct their own robot. So there's a lot of scope for creativity and ingenuity in making the robots and using the components to make the robot do something. So we had a program fairly recently called the Robot Engineer. And what the kids did was they selected an animal, and then they built the animal out of cardboard, and then they used the robotic components to make the robot do something. So this one girl, she made a cat, and when you put your hand over the cat, there was a sensor that made the cat's eyes blink and its tongue pop out. And when she showed that to me with the light on her face, like how, because basically she did it. I mean, we gave him tutorials and showed him how to program it, but she did it. And it was a very gratifying experience for me to see that. Early ed, we have story time, and we also have very, very well attended story times in Japanese and Persian here at the branch. And then for expanded learning, we have reading buddies, our virtual Math Olympiad Club. We have lots of STEAM programs. One thing I'll mention about our reading buddies program is it's really sort of taking off right now because I've introduced some new elements to it where kids can practice. One second. Previously, the kids would come and they would read with a volunteer, and I had this incentive system where they get stickers and they get a little prize. And according to one of my volunteers, the kids only come for the incentive. I hope in the process of reading they came for the program. But I introduced some additional elements. So there's some vocabulary activity sheets. There's a chance for the children to write sentences about theory. So parents are really appreciating the new elements of the program, and there's an opportunity for kids to submit a free book, depending on how many activities they complete, as a participant in reading buddies. And some more programs. If you have never been to this program, I highly recommend it. It's called Little Explorers Petting Zoo, and it's already a huge hit here at our branch. The kids can actually touch the animals. But there's some other, performers that have been here, college and career readiness programs, and then some adult service programs. We have an insiders program that meets once a month, and it's like at least 70, adults kind of participate in that, so it's a really super successful program. And some more information about how many volunteers we have, how many hours our volunteers contribute to our branch, which is very impressive. Those are a few of our volunteers right there, and all the amazing work they do in our branch. And actually, can you back up just for a second? And I want to also give a special shout out to our friends group. We have the most amazing friends group here at West Valley. They are so dedicated and they're so supportive, and they're always asking us, how can we support you? And we really, really appreciate all their work on behalf of the branch. And here is a picture of some of our staff. And questions, feel free to ask me a question if you have it. I may not be able to answer it, but if I cannot, I just want to note Rebecca's email address right here. So she would be very, very happy to provide any information if I don't know the information. So thank you very much for your attention. And if anybody does have a question or a comment, I'd be very happy to hear it.
Thank you. Let's give it up for our president. Before we get to questions or comments from the commission, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Awesome. We'll open up the floor for commissioners. Any questions or comments? All right, let's give it up one more time. Thank you so much. Entertains that we go back in orders of the day to go to item 2 to approve items 2A and 2B. So here's the motion to go back and approve items 2A and 2B now that we have board. If you have a motion. A motion from Commissioner Allen. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Westfall. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. We'll move back into our orders of the day and go on to item 5B, which is our commission budget activities subcommittee appointment to prepare our annual budget position message to council. Jenny will be. Yes, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jenny Choi. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations. Nice to see you all tonight in this nice blustery weather. So this is the Commission Budget Activities Subcommittee, and this is where you will get the wonderful opportunity to volunteer to be on our Budget Position Subcommittee. You'll learn about the library's budget in detail a little bit more, and then you'll actually draft the position that comes from the commission and goes to the council to kind of support the library's budget process. So the role of the subcommittee members, as I just said, is draft the commission annual budget position message to city council. We anticipate the time commitment would be about 3 hours, and it's over the next several months. So the subcommittee kickoff meeting, we can do those by Zoom. So it's about a 30-minute Zoom meeting. And there's some independent time of about 2 hours to review and make edits to the actual drafted position message. And the subcommittee would regroup and prepare for the February commission where we review the letter. That's also a 30-minute Zoom meeting. And the benefits of this process is that you get to learn about the amazing city of San Jose's annual budget process. And it's also an opportunity to advocate for library services. And here's our subcommittee timeline. So in November, we will ask for 2 to 3 commission members, jump at the opportunity to volunteer for the budget activities subcommittee. And then we would send you an introduction email once we have the members selected. In December, which is just around the corner, we will kick off the meeting to review our timeline and discuss our library priorities. And then the subcommittee will begin drafting the commission's annual budget position message. In January 2025, the subcommittee would meet to finalize the commission's annual position message. And then in February twenty twenty-five, we actually review and adopt the message at, that commission meeting. And that would get drafted to go to council. That's the end. Do we have any volunteers this year?
Before, I believe we do have to go for public comment. Any public comment?
We do not have any.
All right, floor is open. Before we open up the floor, I do want to say it is a phenomenal committee. I've been on it multiple times and it does give you a good view into budget priorities and we're all going to be advocating for our priorities, of course, but it gives you a different perspective. So I do highly recommend it. Want to open up the floor for folks raising their hands?
There were a few of us that had our hands up, like, we're willing to come on here, right? Yeah, here.
Raising hand.
So you got three.
How many members do you need?
2 to 3. We can take 4.
Round.
Probably good.
Thanks.
That's good, so good.
Like to entertain a motion to approve Commissioners Brown, Seller, and Banks to serve on our budget message committee. We have a motion from Vice Chair Ramos. Then a second. We have a second from Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Sarah. We'll now go on to our next item, which is our council liaisons announcements, and we are blessed to have. Keep it moving. Go back. Okay. We'll move on to chair's announcements. Nothing on my end, but just want to say thank you again, y'all, and a reminder that our next meeting will not take place until January, which I'll get into later. Just want to put that in one's head. We'll then move on to library director's announcements.
We have a few dates coming up, to others in the commission too. First of all, December 3rd is Giving Tuesday at San Jose Public Library. And we encourage everybody to, volunteer, make a difference, by becoming a library volunteer. It's also an opportunity to work with our wonderful, Library Foundation. And Giving Tuesday is obviously a big national movement, but we do focus on it here at the library. It's a season of gratitude and remind everyone that the act of generosity can be as simple as just volunteering. You can also share your skills, help kids learn to read, all the different things that we do at the library. So learn more at sjpl.org/Giving Tuesday. Also coming up in early December, every year we have a fabulous program. I think this is the 12th year of the local lit program. So if you want to get exposure to local authors, it's actually extremely exciting, interesting program. We hosted at King Library in 225. And so you can learn more about that at sjpl.org/local-lit. The authors will present about their works. They will have copies of their works typically and an opportunity to chat with them and learn more about their process. We have a lot of fans that show up. It's really fun. So again, that's on December 7th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. at King Library. And then we also have our winter reading program is kicking off on December 7th. That goes for 1 month till January 7th. And again, it's like summer reading, but it's winter reading for all ages. Folks can log their hours of reading. If you log 4 hours for readers of all ages or logging 4 books, you qualify for fun prizes, including games, toys, electronics, and a karaoke machine. Jenny's gonna get or Polaroid instant camera. So there's a lot of really fun stuff happening. We find that it's been a great program for folks over the holidays to do with their families. And so you can find out more at sjpl.org/winter reading. And then lastly, we just have a few sort of closure notifications coming up. Tomorrow, Thursday, the libraries are closed from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Just half day at all locations for our annual mini conference, the MiniCon, which is a staff development opportunity for staff at all levels to enjoy sort of a conference style program together. And it's It's staff run, staff led, and it's a really great event for all. So that's tomorrow. And then we do have Thanksgiving holiday will be closed November 28th and 29th. Christmas will be closed December 24th and 25th, and then New Year's on Wednesday, January 1st. And all of those are available online. But I know in the past, the commission has asked to be alerted to closures. So that concludes my announcement.
Any questions for our library director? Commissioner Westfall, we'll get you the mic.
I think Mike is fine, thank you, but just to clarify, what day is the Guild City?
I think it was December 3rd.
Okay, so it's November 20th, so I don't know if it's different, but
Oh,
yeah, today, that would be today. So it is December.
ours is December 3rd.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other questions? Right. Seeing none, we'll then move on to announcements and meetings attended by commissioners as commissioners. Sure, would you like to? The floor, I'll pass you the mic. Oh, there we go.
Hi, my name is Jerry Bruni, and I'm a relatively new member of the commission, but among other things, okay. A member of the Southern Poverty Law Conference, which, for those of you who may not have heard of this organization, it fights, as it says here, hate and extremism in 2004. And I get their publication regularly. And the latest one had as its #1 public, pardon me, public libraries in the crosshairs. Public library in the crosshairs. This is about a 6-page article that I think everybody in this room ought to read. Their organizations, premier among them is a thing called Moms for Liberty. Well, let me tell you, moms for anything but liberty. And at any rate, I am having staff reprint this thing, so you will all get the opportunity to read it, because it is truly frightening about what the right wing out there is doing. Terrible. They would take the First Amendment and they would take the right of your neighbors to determine what books they wanted to take out of this building and take it away. I don't care. I am preventing my neighbor from taking whatever they want. Just as a little bit of background, this is my second term. I used to be chair of the library commission some years ago. And when I was doing that, one of the big issues that came was a library employee who was starting to tell people, no, you can't take that book out. You can't take that book out. You can't take that book out. Yeah. Not on my watch. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and we're very lucky we have great staff that will continue to protect the First Amendment and ensure that our community have what we need. Any other announcements and meetings attended by commissioners as commissioners? Commissioner Gardner.
I just wanted to say that, the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits does a pumpkin event every year. I really think everybody can hear me.
It's for the recording.
Oh, it's for recording. And anyway, so I bought a pumpkin. And I took it, it was based on a book. And so I took it to the Rose Garden Library and they matched the book with the pumpkin. And it was just really kind of fun to see the excitement in people that, it was a really well done pumpkin and the book was. Beneath? Is that right? Beneath? It's about a grandpa who talks about, to his grandson, about. There's lots of stuff underneath that we have to uncover. And that feelings and emotions are important parts of yourself to explore. But what I really found cool about the librarian that was at the Rose Garden Library, and I really want to give him a shout out, is he really interpreted that, because also pumpkins have layers with seeds. And he really made the connection of the pumpkin and the book. Anyway, I was just really impressed with the librarian and how they did it there. And I just wanted to sort of give them a shout out to Rose Garden. It was kind of cool.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. Other announcements and meetings been by commissioners? All right, we'll turn it over now to Somerset Public Library Foundation Board.
To actually, dovetail from Commissioner Gardner's, announcement, Chair Magana and I were fortunate to be, guests of, San Jose Public Library Foundation, Board President Mary Maven. And the Library Foundation, as well as Mary Maven, had, also sponsored a pumpkin, and it was a banned book pumpkin. And we won.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I say we, but like, thank you to the Library Foundation staff for an excellent pumpkin. But we, we're also gonna say we won too, so. We wanted to share that. It was, you know, we won because we were voted the favorite, and, that was prior to the election, so it's good to know that we have advocates out there. Should what Commissioner Rooney says may or may not occur. Additionally, some additional items from the Library Foundation is that the board is meeting tomorrow. And on the agenda is the approval of the 2025 budget for the Library Foundation at 6.5 million. Which is amazing and awesome. But also Giving Tuesday is September 3rd. San Jose Public Library Foundation has completed the most recent and final round of grant funding for high dosage tutoring for children from low income families to reach grade level proficiency in English and math. There were 4 new grants made. This was funded by the city at $2 million from ARPA dollars, American Rescue Plan Act dollars. And the Resilience Corps is recruiting is recruiting 30 plus young adults ages 18 to 30 who face at least 2 barriers to mainstream employment to be hired for up to 20 hours per week at $25 and 50 cents per hour. And they'll start in January as associates in after school programs like the city and nonprofits, helping kindergarten through 8 students learn. And with that, give my report. We won.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the Somerset Public Library Foundation? This is a great pumpkin. Awesome. So we are actually going to take a step back in our orders of the day and go to item 6. We are very lucky, y'all. We are very blessed to be to have our vice mayor here in attendance with us today, who is now our new library liaison, our library commission liaison. So I want to put you on the spot, but thank you for coming, and yes, let's give it up for our vice mayor.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, each and every one of you, for your service. I think that libraries are so critically important. I know that when I was growing up, that's what really fueled my curiosity. It did that for my 2 children, and now for my 5 grandchildren. So I think that this is critically important. Many of you know that I come from education, so when I was assigned, oh, you get to be the liaison, I thought, oh, yeah. So I'm really, my apologies, I had office hours earlier and couldn't be here earlier, but I will try to come as much as I can. Your work is critically important. You do such great work and are so committed I am delighted to be here. Right now, as you know, there are a lot of things that are happening, at City Council. Last night, we, made a decision to go ahead with a special, so, the government gets very busy these days, and trying to get everything before the end of the year is quite a bit. But, I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more, and, I was so excited that you were here at the West Valley Library, and I hope to see you at, I think, many other libraries. So thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, and then you will see us at planning meetings. You will see our faces, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all, let's jump back into things. We're going to item 10, which is the information and upcoming opportunities for commission participation. As a reminder, we can go to our SJPL program calendar at sjpl.org for that. I'll go to item 11, items for future commission meeting agendas. Do commissioners have any items for future meetings? Right? We'll then move on to our next item, item 12, which is our meeting schedule. As I mentioned earlier, y'all, we do not have a December meeting. Our next meeting will be in January, January 15th at MLK Day. Now, as well, I will be adjourning this meeting in a second. However, we do have 2 more good meetings here to go. So I just wanted to note that, no one leave yet, okay? But I will adjourn our library commission meeting at 7:32. And now we'll move on to our library parcel tax oversight committee, which we will open up at 7:32. We'll start with roll
Chair Magarian,
present.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Here.
Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Westfall, Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Gutman. Here. Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Mendoza.
Here.
Commissioner Rooney. Commissioner Wendy. Commissioner Brown. Present. Commissioner Allen. Here. Commissioner Zeller.
Here.
And we have one.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll move on to item 2, which is our consent calendar. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items A and B, which are the library parcel tax oversight committee agenda and the committee meeting minutes from November 15th, 2023.
So
We have a motion from our vice chair. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, all abstaining, motion passes. We'll move on to item 3, which is our public record. Do we have any correspondence?
We do not.
Thank you. We'll move on to open forum. Do we have anyone here for open forum?
We do not.
So we'll then move on to item 5A, which is the action item, which is our annual Measure S parcel tax oversight presentation.
Again, along with a guest speaker, I'll let her.
Sorry.
This is Anthony Blum. He is our senior budget and fiscal analyst. As we are waiting for the onboarding of a new administrative officer, I'm here to present with Anthony about the parcel tax oversight committee audit reports. Next slide, please. So as you're aware, the oversight role of the commission is to understand allowable costs of our parcel tax, review expenditures for compliance with the ballot, for compliance with the ballot language, and then review and approve the audit of outside expenditures. Outside audit, sorry about that. So every year we do have an audit that is run by our city auditor's office. We do have a guest as well in the audience today. We have our city auditor, Joe Royce, and he's here to take any questions about both the parcel tax as well as the bond audit reports as we get through this presentation. So just a brief history of our parcel tax. So from 1995 to 2005, there was a library benefit assessment district. And then in November of 2004, we were able to pass Measure S. And that actually sunsetted the parcel tax in 2015. In June of 2014, there was another measure that was put on the ballot, so that was approved. I think it was by a very large margin as well, it's like 84% approval. And it approved the parcel tax subject to inflation to be $25 per year for single family home and proportional to assessment for other property types. And that actually is effective from July of 2015 all the way to 2024. So we have the parcel tax coming in guaranteed to us for quite some time. And I'm gonna turn this over to Anthony to go over our expenditures for the year.
All right, thank you all. So talking about our expenditures, so the appropriate expenditures that we are able to use our parcel tax on are listed above. So we have our library operations, which is our open hour staffing, administration, and repair and equipment of libraries. We have our homework and educational programming, children's reading programs, story times, teens, seniors, and educational programs, and adult literacy and job readiness programs. And lastly, we can spend the parcel tax on access and collection, so books and materials and technology. So these were our 23-24 budget expenditures. So this is the budget, not the actuals. And the library operations in 23-24, we had budgeted staffing of about 125 positions, which is about 19% of our entire staffing. And that the budget for that was about $9,300,000 for personnel, and then for non-personnel and equipment, we budgeted about 2.3 million there. And what this was made up of, we also had a budget for our collections, which is spent on English print books, English TVs, and music CDs, and that budget was about $99,300. And then our technology, and this was our public computer reservation system upgrades and public printing and PC enhancements. All right, so next slide. Okay, and so this is a look at our actuals for 23 and 24. So looking at the top here, we're looking at our revenue first. So as Jenny said, we have a 3% inflation applied to all parcel rates. So we had an annual revenue of about 10.8 million, 23-24. And looking here is a breakdown of basically the total actual expenditures for the year. And so you can see here, we spent about total just over 10 million. Yeah, go to the next slide, break that down. And lastly, this is our 23-24 balance sheet. So this is just a summarization of our ending fund balance at the beginning of the fiscal year, our total revenue for the fiscal year, our total expense, and then our change in the fund balance. So you can see we had an increase of about $760,000. So our new ending fund balance going into this fiscal year was about 4.6 billion. All right, and audit basis. So this is the financial records and the justification and backup documentation related to the project of management costs. Examples include documentation of contracts, invoice support for expenditures, inquiries of liquidations, and internal controls. And lastly, there were no audit findings of inappropriate expenditures for 23-24. Questions, I know this is a question, but questions, if anybody has any. Thank you.
Let's give it up for our presenters. Before we open up the questions or comments from the commission, we'll start with any public forum or public comments.
We do not have any public comment.
All right, I saw Commissioner Gardner and then Commissioner Westfall. Yes, perfect.
Okay, so my question is, why didn't all the money get spent? Why was there that excess of $700,000 when we know there's gaps in library budget? So I'd like to know why we're not spending all the money.
Well, sometimes we don't, the parcel tax is a fund, as you know, we have general funds, so we generally put a spend that down first, because that goes away year after year. So the parcel tax, we can actually keep it and then roll it over to use on the next year, so it's still budgeted for whatever the purposes are. There are various reasons for why we don't end up spending money. Sometimes it's, you know, a change in the service of a need, or we are anticipating for maybe like potential budget reduction. It's good to have a little bit of buffer there. We don't use that money year after year, so we get to keep it and apply it to different services and costs.
Commissioner Gardner, just for some other example, we could put this fund on some position, could be vacant for part of the year while we're filling it. So that happens all over the system, you know, to our 25 location. Also, we have contracts for collections. Oftentimes, when you have a contract for materials coming in, there's like a gap in receipt of some materials from year to year. So there's reasons that it might not be spent, but to Jenny's point, to Jenny's point, we, with the parcel tax, we do, expend our general fund first, because the parcel tax is dedicated to the library. And that balance will continue to the next year, anything that's not expended.
And also, we do have as you saw, it's a big part of positions that are budgeted on the parcel tax. So at the end of the year, we did have a number of vacancies. So if you don't fill those vacancies, you're not gonna end up spending the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We could certainly bring.
But I guess I'm just saying, as a commissioner, it's a little hard for me to go ask for money when you had $700,000 unspent in your fund balance. And I would assume that the city budgets for unfilled vacancies, because that's part of everyday life in government. So I just bring up the question that, you know, that's almost, you know, you're getting close to $1 million in unspent revenue. Just a question that maybe we need to monitor it more.
And that, it is a good point. It's perhaps something we could discuss in greater detail with the full budget context, when you can see all the sources, because we frequently have deficits in the other funding sources. So the parcel tax can fill in those funding sources so that we don't have to cut positions on a yearly basis. You know, the other funding sources can be somewhat mercurial in nature at times, whereas the parcel tax is kind of our stability. And also, I'm just actually recalling, this is many years ago when we first passed the parcel tax, we expanded hours and kept a reserve of $2 million specifically so that if the city's budget was to, you know, suddenly go down, up or down, we wouldn't have to cut library hours immediately. We would have some, you know, backup in order to support the library hours. And that was, you know, led by the city council at that time. So our fund balance has been something that's actually desired in order to sustain the library in case of some tough budget times.
Okay. But I still think we should monitor why there's an excess of, I heard all of it, and I'm just saying, that's a lot of money. And we should be more diligent about where we use the money to fill in the gaps. So I'm gonna watch that number. Because if you had 2 million in reserve, you now have 4.6 in reserve. So I wanted to spend the money in library services.
Yeah, we can certainly, like I said, we could continue to talk about it. The other part of it is the timing of when we receive the increase annually. So the parcel tax changes by a certain percentage annually. And so, you know, we budget and then we receive funds. So it is kind of a cyclical thing. So it isn't like there is not, there's money just sitting there not being utilized. There's budget that's programmed, and then there are reasons why it doesn't get expended in the year that it was programmed. But we can certainly do more of a deep dive.
Great. I was looking through just the description of the reporting entity, and the last line in the first paragraph said, proceeds from the library parcel tax might only be expended for library purposes, including the following, A, B, C, D. And the last line was, the cost of collection and administration of the library parcel tax. So I tried going through here and finding, what does that exactly mean? The administration of the library parcel tax. I didn't see a line item for that. I didn't see anything referred to that. Is there something that you can speak to and maybe let us know how much that is? Was that less, more than what we anticipated, or anything about it? Because I didn't see anything in the report about that.
I'm actually calling our city auditor for help answering this question. It's an administrative fee for the audit.
It's not that house.
I believe it's the consultant fee.
I just didn't see it referred anywhere in the numbers, so I didn't know.
Oh, annual audit, 15,487. Yeah, it's on.
The question goes around the cost of collection and administration of the parcel fund. That's administrative cost, probably.
Yes, so I just didn't see it referred anywhere in the.
Those would be staff costs, whether it's the library or the finance department. Monies that are coming into the organization I don't know that. I don't actually use interest cost. I think it's pretty standard,
Okay.
expense, for having finance staff, budgetary staff here.
Sure. I just had no clue what that expense was, so that's
So
what I was trying to understand.
in the body of the report is, on page 6 in the statement of revenue expenditures, there's a line item.
Okay.
It's gonna be included.
Okay, so it's not the full 8 million, so it's a subset of that, okay,
Yeah, but not 8 million people managing.
no,
I'm sorry, I didn't. Curiosity.
thank you, clarify that, thank you.
Commissioner Allen.
Two questions. Well, is there a senior exemption on this part of that? That seniors can rely on? No. Okay. And the other one was on a earlier slide of what the parcel tax could be used for. It said something about, library operations, third bullet, repair and equipping the repair. That seems to me to be more of a bond issue than a parcel tax issue, but can you clarify what that repair justifies?
Sure, so the bond funds do have separate restrictions, so we can't use them on certain types of repairs. So the parcel tax, in addition to our capital, can also be used to help supplement whatever repairs that we pay through, our capital funding. Yeah.
So does that mean, if I recall, when we were at the Biblioteca, that you had to go out, you were gonna go out for bid, and there was some concern about it could cost more than you had. Is it possible to use this money to backfill the? If it was to go over the bond money?
I think it would be legal to use it on some aspects of it.
It would be legal, or
It would be legal, but I think that typically we try to reserve the parcel tax for operations. And the repairs are more things like, when the carpet in the children's room at Evergreen is always stained, so replacements of, a chair here, furniture, those kinds of things that we can, have a little bit more flexibility rather than true capital expenses. Because it's not, but some of the funds are reflected in the, can be reflected in the capital improvement plan for the city. But we protect this fund as much as we can, so we could utilize it,
Thank you.
but it also is for hours, like I said.
Other questions? Four. Right, this is an action item, also let's give it up for presenters. Time for the meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept the parcel tax oversight report. We have a motion from Commissioner Allen, do I have a second? Second, sorry, I saw the, okay. Commissioner Roney, with the second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, all abstaining, motion passes, thank you all. As a reminder, our next meeting will take place November 19th, 2025. 2025 at Joyce Ellington Library. I will not see you all there.
That's the library.
Oh, we have. I can't come for public comment, you're right, I'll be here. So I'll adjourn that meeting at 7:49. Thanks, y'all. We'll go to our next one, which is our Library Bond Oversight Committee, which I will open at 7:50. Let's start with roll call.
Chair McGarnier,
Present.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Here.
Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Westphal, Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Gardner, here, Commissioner Mendoza, here, Commissioner Rennie. Commissioner Sullivan, here, Commissioner Brown,
Commissioner Allen, here, Commissioner Baker. We have one.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve our consent calendar, which is our oversight committee agenda as well as the meeting minutes for November 15, 2023. Do I have a motion? Motion from our vice chair, second from Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, all abstaining, motion passes. We'll move on to public record. Do we have any public record?
We do not.
Wonderful. Move on to open forum. Do we have any open forum?
We do not.
All right, we'll move on then to the annual library bond oversight review presentation. Long time no see, welcome back.
The last one, I promise. Hello again. So, as you already know us, we're back to present the Bond Oversight Committee and Annual Audit Report. Next slide, please. So similarly, their oversight role is to understand the allowable cost for the bond program, the bond fund. Review expenditures for compliance with ballot language, and then also review and approve outside audit of expenditures, which you have included in your packet today. Next slide. A little bit about the bond history. So in November of 2000, Measure O was approved, and that gave the city library 211 million in general obligation bonds. These are restricted, similar to the parcel tax, or some restrictions on the use of these. So they're restricted for the purchase of property and construction of improvements to libraries. This one's a little bit different. No administration or staffing can be billed to this fund. And then something new in 1920, some of the capital project management staff charges became no longer eligible to be allowed by the city as well. So in prior years, the capital management staff could be charged the bond, but no, that is no longer the case. Next slide.
All right, so jumping into the 23-24 expenditures, we had only about $533,000 of bond expenditures. And these expenditures were spent on these items. So we spent them on security camera improvements and installations at Willow Glen, Bascom, East Branch, and Elk Rock, as well as some facility improvements at our West Valley roof replacement and totally interior LED lighting. And so upcoming in the next couple of years with the Biblioteca Latino America renovation, which is in progress. So that is exciting. And for our audit basis, so we have the financial records and our justification and backup documentation related to project management costs. Examples include documentation of contracts, invoices supported for expenditures, inquiries of liquidations, tasks performed by capital project staff. And we have internal controls, and the results of the audit were there were no findings of inappropriate expenditures in fiscal year 23-24. And I think that's for questions. Yeah, thank you so much. Not much, really not much to break down here expenditure-wise.
Right, and we also did the full bond kind of capital report last month, so you'll recall that we went into a little bit more detail about the biblioteca.
Yes.
I was just gonna add that one of the things that some of you have been around will recall, or you've read the slides, this bond was passed in 2000. And so we've had a remainder fund for several years. We've actually had plans to do the Biblioteca branch renovation prior to the pandemic. And so all construction was put on hold. So again, we're really excited to be moving forward with that project, and that project is expected to completely expend the bond funds from 2000.
Before we open up to questions or comments from the commission, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
I will open up the floor to questions and comments from commissioners. No findings is one of my many love languages, so happy to see that. Awesome. This is an action item, y'all, so I will entertain a motion that we approve our annual library bond oversight review. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Lee, do we have a second? Saw Commissioner Allen's hand first, sorry. Commissioner Allen. Second from Commissioner Allen, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, all abstaining, motion passes. As a reminder, folks, this next meeting will take place November 19th, 2025. Again, at Joyce Ellington Library Branch, and I will be there. Making that commitment today. All right, y'all, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:55. And a reminder, we do not have a meeting next month, so we